Welcome to another weekend in my life vlog. I just got out of work and I switched into my exercise clothes. I'm going to go on a walk because I got a little stir crazy working inside all day and I want to get some fresh air, so join me. So I'm just walking on this path. It's a public footpath here in Rockport, and as you can see, it goes like right along the ocean. It's one of my favorite places to walk in Rockport. Going on walks literally makes me feel so much better, even if it's like not a hardcore workout walk, if that makes sense. As long as I'm getting outside and getting some fresh air, it helps my mind be so much more clear. If I feel like I'm in a funk or I'm getting down on myself, or I feel like really anxious or really depressed, I tell myself and push myself to get on my workout clothes and get outside because it makes me feel so much better. Like, look at that view. I'm lucky and blessed and grateful to live in such a beautiful area. Not many people have this to look forward to on a walk, but even if you just go out, walk a few blocks, breathe in the air, it literally does wonders, trust me. So I used to live in Florida. I also used to live in California, and although both places do have oceans, nothing compares to this. This will always be home to me, and there's like a different smell to it too. It's like a more raw, oceany, fishy smell. I know fishy is a weird way to describe it, but that's what it is. It's like a very raw, oceany smell. A lot of people like to complain about that fishy, really raw, oceany smell here. If you don't know what Gorton Seafood is, it's essentially America's, if not the world's, most highly producing frozen fish manufacturer, and it's based actually right out of Gloucester, Massachusetts, which is the town right next to mine. And every time you drive past it or walk past it, it essentially smells like fish, as you can expect. But that smell is what I missed when I lived in California and in Florida, because that's home to me. When I came home after COVID, that's like one of the first things that I noticed. I was like, oh my gosh, this smells like home. I was just walking past and this free little library reminded me that I want to make an unhauling book video, because I have a lot of books that I know I'm just not going to read or reread again. I tend not to keep books that are less than 4 stars, only my favorite books I keep. So I want to do an unhauling video where I bring all of those books to these free little libraries like you see behind me. It is starting to get dark out, so even though it is generally a safe town, even at nighttime, and I know the area because I grew up here, and it is a small town, as a female, I kind of gotta watch out for myself. So I'm gonna head home now, because you just never know, especially with all of these tourists in town for the summer. Just gotta play it safe. So I just got back from my walk not too long ago, and I'm so glad I got back when I did, because it's currently pitch black outside, hence why the lighting in here is so awful right now. But if I had to walk up that hill that I live on in the woods by myself in this utter darkness, I would have nearly died. I'm probably gonna head to bed soon. I probably will just watch some YouTube. For my last reading update, I did finish reading One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I also finished Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welsh. If you saw that reading vlog that I did. Can you say hi, Lucy? Pew. But anyway, I also just finished Ugly Love, which was my third book that I finished. It's by Colleen Hoover, and I just went on a huge rant on TikTok because I'm not too sure how I feel about Colleen Hoover books. She's really hyped up, as you probably know. You've probably heard of her before, but I have read It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us and also Ugly Love by her. So that's 3 books that I've read by Colleen Hoover, and I'm just like not impressed. It Starts With Us and It Ends With Us were both just like 3 stars. They were so mid. And then Ugly Love was a 2-star for me because it honestly was just about them hooking up. The male main character was so insufferable, had literally no personality. And then the female main character had like literally no respect for herself. So I'm just like wondering if I should read another Colleen Hoover book or if I should just unhaul them and donate them to like a free little library or to a donation center or a thrift store. I do work at a thrift store as a manager, so maybe I should just bring it to my job. Maybe I should just give Colleen Hoover one more chance, but like, in the same respect, I have tried 3 of her books and they were all average or below average for me, so why give another one of her books a try? Maybe I'll just try Verity in the fall, and then if I really don't like that, then I'm just gonna call it quits for Colleen Hoover. But I am reading another book. It's on my Kindle. It's an Emily Henry book called Beach Read. I did read another one of her books called People We Meet on Vacation, and that was a 2-star for me. It took me so long to get through, and I actually had to listen to the audiobook to actually finish reading it, just because it was so difficult to get through. I honestly don't know how I'm going to get through this one. I am about 100 pages away from finishing it, so I definitely am going to finish it, but it just is so mid. It's definitely better than People We Meet on Vacation, because People We Meet on Vacation is a 2-star for me, like I said before. This is looking more of like a 3-star or possibly even a 2.5, just because like, I don't know. I can't even pinpoint what is wrong with it. I'm just not connecting to the characters or the plot. I don't know why these books on Book Talk or BookTube get the hype that they get, especially with Emily Henry and Colleen Hoover books. I don't want to hate on these books. So if you like any of these books by Colleen Hoover or Emily Henry, please let me know in the comments why you like them, because I'm honestly just really curious of why you like them. I just don't see any depth to the characters. I don't see any depth to the plots in them. But yeah, I am reading Beach Read by Emily Henry on my Kindle. It says I'm about 69% of the way through. I'm on chapter 22 right now, which is page 265 out of like 350-ish pages. So I'm a little bit under 100 pages from finishing it, or just about 100 pages from finishing it. So I'm really excited to finish. I'm probably going to be able to finish it tomorrow. I'm going to make it my goal to finish it tomorrow, just so that I can get this out of the way. I honestly don't have any desire to read any of Emily Henry's other books. But like I said before, if you do like any of Colleen Hoover's or Emily Henry's books, please comment below why you like them, just so that I can have more understanding of why people love them so much. I'm just very curious because I'm just not feeling any of Colleen Hoover or Emily Henry's books. Same with Christina Lauren. I first got into Book Talk and BookTube and Bookstagram for that matter by reading The Unhoneymooners. If you're familiar with that book title, it's by Christina Lauren. And the reason why I read that book in the first place is because this girl posted about it on Book Talk, and it was my first experience ever watching a video on Book Talk. I didn't even know Book Talk was a thing. And she basically described the book and its synopsis as if it was her own life. It was like she was inserting herself to the description on the back of the book. and it made me want to read it. I literally, when she first started describing the book, I literally thought it was her real life because she was putting herself as like first person, and then she ended up saying, oh yeah, and this isn't actually my life. It's a book called The Honeymooners by Christina Lauren. So I thought the plot was super interesting when she described it that way, and that's why I ended up reading it, and I hated it. I literally gave it like, I think like a 2 stars. Like, it's Colleen Hoover, Emily Henry, and Christina Lauren that I just don't understand. They like came out as like really big authors on the book talk, booktube, bookstagram, whatever you want to call it, world, and I'm just not understanding like why people like them. I feel like if I read 2 or maybe even 3 books by an author and I'm still not liking their books, like I'm just gonna not read the rest of their backlist. That's just me. Maybe I should give Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren a chance, just so that I can say that I read multiple of her books and still didn't like her books, but we'll see. She still has 1 more chance in my mind, or maybe 2 more chances in my mind if I read a 3rd of her book, but we'll see. But yeah, good night for now. And I woke up, made my bed, had some breakfast, and now my only goal today is to finish Emily Henry's book, Beach Read. As I said last night, I'm trying to give Emily Henry another chance. I did read People We Meet on Vacation by her, and I was not the biggest fan of that book. I actually had such a hard time getting through it. It was so hard for me to get through that I actually had to switch to the audiobook version of People We Meet on Vacation just because I was so sick of reading it that maybe listening to it would have made the time go by faster. It was a 2-star read for me. Definitely not rereading that ever. So I decided to pick up Beach Read, which is another popular book by her. I believe Beach Read and People We Meet on Vacation, if I'm not mistaken, are like 2 of her most popular books. She has released other books since then, like Happy Place and things like that. Book Talk and BookTube, from what I've seen, they definitely recommend Beach Read and People We Meet on Vacation a lot more. So I decided to give Beach Read a chance. And if this is not a 4-star and up, I'm not reading another one of her books again. I'm usually the type of person, as I mentioned last night, where I give an author 3 times in order to fully convince me of their books. Almost like 3 strikes and you're out. If I read 3 of their books and all 3 of them are either mid or below mid, I don't read that author ever again. I know I give authors a lot of chances, like a lot of people don't even give authors a second chance. They read one book by an author and they don't like it, and then they're like, I'm never reading that author ever again. But I believe if you read an author's book, you don't know where in their writing journey you are in terms of what book you read by them. So I try to give them the benefit of the doubt and read a couple more of their books, at least 2 or 3 of their books, in order to give them a fair chance. I think after this second book by Emily Henry, Beach Read, after reading People We Meet on Vacation, I think if I don't give this a 4-star and up, like I was saying before, I'm not gonna read another one of her books, just because the first book I read by her was so insufferable that it doesn't justify me reading a third one of her books, even if this book here is also not good at all. I'm about 100 pages left from finishing Beach Read, maybe a little less than 100 pages left, maybe around like 90 pages left, and I believe I'm gonna finish it today. I have the day off, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna finish it today. It's not feeling like a 4 or a 5-star, it's at most a 3-star for me right now. We'll see what the next 90 pages looks like, but it might even be a 2 or a 2.5 if I'm really being honest. I just find the character development in both of the Emily Henry books that I've read so far, like, not it. I don't feel connected to the characters whatsoever in either of the books that I've read by her. And both plots just don't seem, first of all, realistic, and second of all, they just are so cringy and so awkward. Like, some of the things that the characters say or do are just like, why? I read books to escape reality. I don't mind when books are somewhat unrealistic. Like, that's the reason why I'm reading books, is to escape reality. At the same time, like, for example, in People We Meet on Vacation, it's literally about these 2 friends who literally go on vacation together every single year, and it's a female and a male. They somehow don't fall in love until like years after the fact that they've been going on these vacations. First of all, as broke college students, when they first started going on these vacations, like, how do they even afford it? Second of all, you're a male and female main characters, and you go on these like lavish vacations to these like really romantic places, and you're telling me you've never had feelings for each other before that point. The things that they would say to each other were just like so silly and cheesy. Like, I can't give you an exact example, but like, if you read it, you know. It's the same with this book, Beach Read. Like, she goes to this beach house, okay, on a lake. It's her dad's old house after her dad passes away, and she ends up meeting her next door neighbor who also lives in a similar house to her. They're both somehow authors and somehow knew each other from college, and they were rivals, and they had feelings for each other this whole entire time, even though they thought they were rivals. It's like, what cosmic universe would that ever happen? I understand that this is a book and she can make up whatever she wants. It's her book, whatever. But at the same time, like, I'm reading it, and the reason why she wrote it is for people to read, so I can't have an opinion on it. In what reality do 2 authors somehow accidentally become next door neighbors, and they knew each other from before, and then they were rivals, but then they end up falling for each other, and then it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't mind things being semi-unrealistic, like I said, but like that, no. It's just weird. And then the things that they say to each other, I'm like, no one in real life would say that to each other. I'm not feeling anything for the characters. I'm not feeling anything for the plot. It's just not doing it for me. But yeah, I'm gonna try to finish this book today and hopefully read it. I have a feeling that I'm gonna be able to rate it almost immediately, just because like I'm not enjoying it as much as I thought I would. I was trying to give her a second chance, but I don't know. It's just not doing it for me. me a 2.5 star. It was a teensy bit better than People We Meet on Vacation by her, but not by much. I literally just don't understand the hype behind her books as well as Colleen Hoover books. So please tell me if you're a fan of Emily Henry books or Colleen Hoover books, or even any other author that is hyped up on Book Talk, BookTube, or Bookstagram. Please tell me your reasoning behind it. I don't want to hate. Maybe it's just not my taste, but I'm just having a hard time understanding like why these books are so loved. I've heard that Beach Read by Emily Henry is one of people's favorite books, and I'm just not seeing that. It's sad because I really want to trust the recommendations that are on BookTube, Bookstagram, and Book Talk, but after reading so many books that have been recommended on those platforms and like not having a great experience with them, I just don't know if I should continue reading books that are recommended on those. I don't know. I'm still trying to find what I like and don't like in books. One of my favorite books of all time, though, is actually right behind me on my bookshelf. It's Redeeming Love by Francine Rivers. This is the special edition copy that I have because I did have 2 other copies of this book before, but I gave them away for people to borrow and I never got them back. So I ended up just buying the special edition so that I could have my favorite book in its prettiest format on my bookshelves. So Francine Rivers is a Christian author. She writes Christian fiction in particular, not devotionals or religious type books, but she does write fiction that is biblically inspired. So Redeeming Love is loosely based on the book of Hosea in the Bible. It essentially is about a prostitute who is living in the West during the gold rush, so the 1800s, 1860s-ish. And this man, who is a God-fearing man, loves God, comes and basically rescues her and marries her. She is kind of impartial towards him. She actually runs away a few times, and it's just about like their love story. And basically it's supposed to represent, this is basically supposed to represent the book of Hosea in the Bible, which it does accurately represent. It's just rethemed a little bit. In the book of Hosea, it basically follows a prostitute and this man who marries the prostitute, and she keeps on running away and he keeps on pursuing her. And in that's supposed to accurately represent God pursuing us and like loving us despite our downfalls and our sin. But anyway, this is like my favorite book of all time. Maybe I should start reading more historical romances or romantices, which is fantasy romances, because I like this so much. Maybe that will be something that I'm more interested in. What I've been recommended on Book Talk, Bookstagram, BookTube has been just lately like a lot of rom-com-y type books. There has been an uptake of fantasy books that I've been recommended through those platforms, so maybe I can try to figure out if I like fantasy or romantasy, which is, like I just explained, fantasy romance. So hopefully I can start reading more things like that, because it seems like from my favorite book of all time that I would like things like that more. I also read another one of Francine Rivers' books. It's called The Masterpiece, and I would say this is a close second to Redeeming Love. This is probably my second favorite book of all time. It does take place though in like modern times, so that's what kind of makes me question like if I would still like contemporary romance, because this is technically considered like a contemporary romance but with some more biblical inspiration. It does mention, of course, a lot of Christian values and the Bible and God and Jesus. So maybe I should just read more of her books and books that are similar to her books. Maybe I should just read books that are more Christian based. I know there are other Christian authors out there, so maybe I should dive into more Christian fiction rather than just regular fiction and regular romance books that are just more worldly, if that makes sense. There's nothing wrong with reading like regular romance or regular fiction books, But as someone who values my faith a lot and loves the Lord, and I know that Jesus Christ saved my life, maybe I should start reading books that are more geared towards that. I don't want to just straight up read devotionals all the time, which I do, or my Bible all the time, which I try to do every single day, but I'm gonna try to read more like Christian fiction, if that makes sense, because reading is a hobby for me, so I want to try to maybe dive more into that. Maybe that's what I need to read more of, not just romantasy, which is fantasy romance, or historical romance. So maybe I should try that out too. But yeah, I gave Beach Read by Emily Henry a 2-star, or 2.5 I should say. Goodreads won't let me rate it a 2.5. They don't have half-star ratings. So I'm just gonna give it a 2-star on Goodreads because I don't feel justified rounding up and giving it a 3-star on Goodreads because it really wasn't a 3-star to me. That's my update. I am gonna probably eat my lunch and then take a shower and see what the rest of the day holds. I really don't know what else I'm gonna do today, to be honest. I was just finishing on reading Beach Read because it's really, really gloomy and rainy out right now, and it's not the nicest weather. I don't know, it's stopped raining, so it's just like really humid and foggy outside right now. So maybe I'll go on a walk if there isn't rain in the forecast for the rest of the day, but we'll see. I really don't know. I did go on a walk yesterday and I could go on a walk today, but I don't know, the weather is just like disgusting. So I'll see ya in a few. So I ate my lunch, took a shower, blew dry my hair, and now I feel all clean with some new clothes on. I actually want to start Love in Other Words after reading Beach Read by Emily Henry because I mentioned that I read The Unhoneymooners and I wasn't a big fan of it, so I just want to read at least one more Christina Lauren book to make sure that I actually do or do not like her writing. I do have N.A. Holidays by her, but it is a Christmas book and it's currently August, so I don't feel right reading that book right now. So I did, like I said before, bought Love in Other Words on Kindle. I tried to get Love in Other Words from my library on Libby, which is an app that you can download on your phone, but there was like a 16-week wait for that. So I ended up just getting it on my Kindle because I actually want to start reading it this afternoon, and I didn't want to wait for Amazon to deliver it. Even if it was going to come tomorrow, I would rather just start reading it today because the sooner I read it, the sooner I can make judgments on it. But like I said, I'm super disappointed with Book Talk, BookTube, Bookstagram recommendations. I finished Ugly Love, which was my 3rd book by Colleen Hoover, and I absolutely did not like that one at all. I just finished Beach Read by Emily Henry. Did not like that at all either. I did finish One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid earlier as well. Even though it wasn't my all-time favorite book of all time, it was still like okay. I gave it a 4-star, I believe. Still, it's not my favorite of all time. So I'm hoping that this book, Love in Other Words, meets my expectations. I feel like there's a lot of hype around that book as well. A lot of people say that this is their favorite book too, along with Beach Read by Emily Henry, but I did not like Beach Read by Emily Henry, so I'm just wondering where all the hype from that book is coming from. So we'll see where this goes with Love in Other Words, and I'll give you my thoughts probably later on. I want to do a monthly wrap-up every month of like what I read each month, so if you don't get my reaction to the book in this video, you're definitely going to get it later. So yeah, I'm going to probably start Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren today. I'll see how far I get, and then we'll see where the day takes me from there. I know I didn't really mean this to be a reading vlog, but I guess it's turning into one. I see that outside right now it is clearing up just a little bit. There is still like overcast, but it's still not like the best to be out doing things. But yeah, I'm gonna start reading Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I just read the prologue and the first chapter of Love and Other Words. I'm on page 16, which obviously isn't that far into the book. It's like 3% in according to Goodreads. I hope that this is a 3-star for me at least. I know this is definitely not going to be a 5-star for me right off the bat, just by reading the prologue and the first chapter. I can almost immediately tell when it's a 5-star. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but like, I know it's a 5-star when I can't put the book down. I can either finish it in 1, 2, or 3 sittings. And if I'm not reading it, I'm thinking about reading it next. So I know it's definitely not a 5-star read for me because I'm not like itching to go read it again. I just hope that it's at least a 3-star, like I said, because these hyped up books are just like so disappointing, and I really hope that it's at least a 3-star because 3 stars is like average for me. It's like mid. But I initially gave The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren 3 stars, but after thinking about it for a few weeks, I bumped it down to a 2-star because I just wasn't connecting with the plot or the characters that much. It didn't seem like it really hit a chord with me, if that makes sense. So I'm really hoping that this book is at least a 3-star. I'm even hoping maybe it's a 4-star. Who knows? I'm not that far into the book. I'm getting really stir crazy in here. Maybe I'll finish more of Love and Other Words later on tonight. But I've been in the house like literally all day just because of the weather and it being my day off. Like, I can stay in all day if I wanted to, but I'm gonna try to like get out of the house and see what I can get up to. I still don't have my car. It's still being worked on, so I can't really like drive anywhere, so I might just like go on a walk. I just need to get out of the house because I'm going crazy in here. Deciding to walk like a quarter mile down the street, if even that, to an ice cream store called the Dairy Train. The reason why it's called the Dairy Train is because it's literally situated right next to the train station. I've told you before, Rockport is very literal. The reason why Rockport is called Rockport is because it's a port of rocks. There used to be, or I think there still is, a lot of granite here. You can walk up in the woods and see a lot of quarries where they used to dig out all of the granite and build a lot of buildings with the granite. Of course, they don't build buildings with granite so much anymore, but they used to back before there were skyscrapers. And then, of course, Bearskin Neck that I've shown you before. It's literally like the downtown area of Rockport where there's a lot of restaurants and shops, and the reason why it's called Bearskin Neck is because they skinned a bear on that neck. So that's just so quintessentially Rockport, like everything is so literally named here. But anyway, after I got some ice cream, which was delicious by the way, I got the Maine Black Bear flavor, which is essentially like a raspberry and chocolate chip ice cream. I really like anything fruity tasting, so my favorite ice cream of all time is strawberry, not the soft serve kind, the hard serve kind with like the actual strawberries in them. After I went to the ice cream store, the Dairy Train, I walked a little bit down the road to this park called Millbrook Park, and I just read a little bit more of Love and Other Words. I read up to page, I believe, 55, which is about 10% through the book, but it's going okay so far. I know it's definitely not going to be a 5-star for me, like I said before, but it is a little bit better than Ugly Love, which I read not too long ago, and Beach Read, which I just finished, as you saw this morning. So I definitely see it going a little bit better than those 2 books that I just recently read, but it's definitely like not my favorite book of all time like some people have said about this book. I feel like I said, I would know if it's a 5-star book right off the bat if it was truly a 5-star, but I'm going to continue reading that, maybe not today, but possibly tomorrow. I'm probably just going to take it easy for the rest of the day just because I've been reading so much and my brain is kind of fried from so much reading. I do like reading, don't get me wrong, but like I just feel like when I read too much, especially on the Kindle, my eyes start to feel really strained. So I am going to try to maybe watch a movie. I know It Ends With Us just came out in theaters, so maybe I can somehow stream it. Maybe I would have to pay for it. I don't know. I'm going to try to watch It Ends With Us because, like I said before, my car is still being worked on, so I can't like actually go to the movie theaters. And it's like the perfect movie weather right now. It's like really gloomy and rainy outside. I actually had to come back from Millbrook Park because it started to rain again. There was like a little clearing of it not raining. It was like actually pretty nice out. Like it looked like the sun was gonna come out, but it actually wasn't. So I'm probably gonna watch It Ends With Us or some movie because it just feels like perfect movie weather. Disgusting out yet again for my second day off of work for the weekend. My car is still being worked on, so I can't really like go anywhere unless I take the train or the bus. And I'm just not feeling it, especially in this weather right now. So I'm gonna sit here and read. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish this book today just because I'm not that fast of a reader and I get easily distracted, so who knows how far I'll get into this. Again, I'm currently reading Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I decided to take another chance on her because I did read The Unhoneymooners, like I've said before, and it wasn't my favorite. I originally rated it 3 stars, but I then bumped it down to 2 stars because after sitting on my thoughts for a little bit, I decided I really didn't enjoy the story that much. And it was one of my first books that I got back into reading with, so I feel like I had a false perspective or false outlook on the book when I first initially rated it. But then after reading a few books after that and really getting a grip of what I like and don't like, and also just thinking more about the characters and the plot and so forth, I bumped it down to 2 stars. So I'm giving Christina Lauren one more chance. I gave Colleen Hoover 3 chances, and I might honestly give her a 4th chance. I'm probably gonna read Verity this fall, and then I gave Emily Henry 2 chances. So we'll see. I don't know. I know this is definitely not a 5-star book for me. As I've mentioned before, I usually off the bat know it's a 5-star, even like in the first chapter. And I'm currently on chapter 10 and I'm not getting that. I'm like 17% of the way through this book. And if it's not giving me a 5-star feeling this far in, it's definitely not a 5-star. I'm hoping that it's at least a 3-star, but I don't even know if that's gonna be a 3-star. I don't know, it's just really annoying to me so far. I feel like something definitely happened in this couple's past. So essentially what this book is about, I don't know if I mentioned, but essentially it's these 2 characters who met when they were like 13 and 14 years old, and they fell in love. They meet again like 10 or 11 years later, and there's essentially 2 perspectives in this book. There's like when they first initially met, when they were like in middle school and high school, and then it jumps back and forth between chapters of them in that time and then like a present perspective where it's them meeting 10 or 11 years later after not talking for that long after high school. So something definitely happened between the both of them for the female main character to not talk to him, the male main character, for like 10 or 11 years. You just don't know like what the reasoning is behind them not talking. And then she's like oddly not a big fan of him for some reason, but he's still like a huge fan of her. You can definitely tell that they still love each other. You don't know what happened between them for her to justify not talking to him for that long, and then for her to have such resistance against him after meeting with him after so many years. It just seems really weird to me that she's acting the way that she's acting. Like, I don't care how bad he treated you or what the situation was, like, to justify being so rude and so cold. I don't know. If it was probably like a domestic violence type situation, I could maybe understand the way she's acting. But even if it was a domestic violence situation, the plot would probably be a little bit different. There would probably be other ways that she could have written this if it was a domestic violence situation. But the male main character doesn't seem like he would do that, like, at all. So I'm wondering why this female main character is acting the way that she's acting. It's like kind of annoying and like infuriating reading this and the way she's acting towards him. I don't know. It's super weird, but I'm gonna continue reading. And I'm sorry this has become more of a reading vlog than anything. This weekend's weather has just thwarted a lot of my plans, and also like my car being worked on, so it just turned into this. I did finish Beach Read by Emily Henry, so you did get to see me finish one book and start another book. I don't know if I'm gonna finish this, like I said, but yeah, it's turned into more of a reading vlog than anything. But a little update, like, I'm on this chapter in Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren, and it's in one of the chapters where like it's their younger selves when they're like 13 and 14 years old, and they're like emailing back and forth. First of all, when I was 13 and 14, I didn't even really know what email was. I did, to be honest, but I wasn't like actively on my email. Do you know what I mean? I was probably using AIM, to be honest, like those chat rooms. I would like chat my friends on AIM or AIM, however you want to say that. But yeah, I just find it really funny that like they're using email to communicate back and forth. Like, first of all, I don't know when this is supposed to take place, so maybe it's not when AIM or AIM was a thing. They do mention flip phones, so I'm assuming it was like around the time that I was growing up. So why aren't they using AIM or AIM? Or why aren't they texting? They literally have each other's phone numbers. So why aren't they texting? I had like one of those like flip phones, and I also had one of those ones where you would like switch to the side where it was like vertical like this. no, not vertical, horizontal like this, and then you would like flip up the keyboard like that, and then you would like type it like a keyboard. I know it might take a little bit longer to text with those little tiny keyboards, or the ones where you have to like press it like 3 times to get like a certain letter, but like, why email? What 13 and 14-year-old is using email to communicate with their friends? And like the way that they're writing the emails, they're like using these big words like they're adults. Like, you're teenagers. Like, what, don't you use slang? Like, or like less mature wording or sentences? Another thing that bothers me is in chapters previous to this, it says that she went to Tufts, and Tufts is in Boston, and I'm from Massachusetts, by the way, if you didn't already know that. And they said in the book that it's in Baltimore. Like, I understand Baltimore and Boston are like both B cities, but like, you would think that like if this is like a professionally published book, that they would like research into that more. Why would he put something in there that's not correct? Like, don't they have like a bunch of people like editing the books? It just doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, those are my thoughts so far. Quick update. So, at no surprise to anyone, I had to get out of my house because for the life of me, I cannot sit still, which is actually kind of comical because one of my favorite hobbies is reading, and to read, you have to actually sit down or lay down and physically read a book for enormous amounts of lengths of time. So that's kind of funny if you think about it. It's very ironic. But I did get about 150 pages through Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren, as you all know I'm reading right now, which is about 30% of the way through the book according to Goodreads. But yeah, I can't sit still for the life of me. I think I was undiagnosed with ADD or ADHD. Everyone in my family has it, except for me. I think it's because in girls it manifests differently than boys, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like in boys it comes out more as like energetic and super boisterous and can't pay attention for the life of them. But in girls, I feel like, for me at least, it manifests in a way where I'm super OCD. I have to know what's going on all the time. Otherwise, I get like panic attacks because in my brain is just like all over the place. That's why I have to have things organized all the time and have to know what's going on. But yeah, I think I do have ADD or ADHD because everyone else in my family has it. I just was undiagnosed with it as a kid, and it's much harder to get diagnosed with it as an adult. I might want to get that checked out, like see like a neurologist, or like, I don't know who you would go to see to get diagnosed with ADD or ADHD, but I want to see someone to see if I actually have it. But right now I'm heading to my local library because I've always had a library card. I think I'm like in the system. I think you don't ever expire from being in like the library system. But I lost my library card. It's somewhere in the abyss of wherever. I don't even know where it would be. So I'm gonna go to my local library to actually get a physical card. I actually wanted to go yesterday, but yesterday was Sunday and the library was closed. I did sign up for Libby though, which is like an app where it's essentially like a library app where you can borrow books and things, and I think my library is connected to it. So I did sign up for that, and I did get connected to like my library's like system to place books on hold and things and to borrow books. So I'm actually just gonna go down to the library now to make sure that's correct, that I like signed up for the right book system. I don't know what else to call it. Like, they're connected to like other libraries in the area. I think it's called Merrimack Valley, the specific one that I'm supposed to be connected to based on where I'm living. But yeah, I just like having a physical card. Even though they gave me like a virtual library card, I do like having a physical card just because it makes me feel more official. And even though like our whole world is very technological now, I like physically going to the library and checking out with an actual library card, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna go do that now and then see if there's any books that I want to take out, because I'm in this weird spot right now where it's like the middle of August right now, and I'm probably gonna finish Love and Other Words by the end of August, probably a week before August ends. And I would feel weird reading like a fall type book at the end of August. So I want like a transitional read from August to September. I feel like September 1st is like a really good date to start fall books or do anything fall related. So I want like an in-between book that I can read in August that's not necessarily like a summer book but also not necessarily a fall book. So I'm gonna try to see if the library has a book like that, because I currently don't have anything like that on my bookshelves. So let's go to the library and see if they have anything. Oh, also, update on my car. I have been without a car for about a week now, which is super frustrating because that means I either A, have to walk everywhere, take the train or bus places, or ask for a ride. And I really hate putting my parents out, if that makes sense. I don't like asking them for really anything, not just rides, but like money. And you know, I hate asking favors of them because they've already done so much for me. It's enough as it is that I'm living at home, if that makes sense. I can't wait to get my car back, because turns out I was so worried about like having to get a new car because it is the transmission that needs work done, and when it's the transmission, that usually means like the car is done for. So I didn't want to have to think about getting a new car, because that's like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of like getting a new car or like getting a new transmission, because transmission can cost up to like $4,000 or $5,000 to get a new transmission, and by that point like you might as well get like a new car. So it is still the transmission, but apparently it's just like a leak in the transmission, if that makes sense. So they just have to figure out like where the leak is and then like replace whatever they need to replace in the transmission. So I don't need like a full-on new transmission. I just need a replacement part for the transmission, if that makes sense. So instead of having to pay thousands of dollars, I'm gonna probably have to just pay like hundreds of dollars, which still isn't ideal. Like, I'm still without a car for right now and I have to pay a lot of money to get it fixed. But at least it's like not as bad as I thought it was gonna be, and it's like definitely not the worst case scenario of what it could have happened to it. So I'm just happy for that, and that I am just grateful that I can still keep my car, because there's nothing necessarily like wrong with my car. Like, there's no complaints on my end of my car other than like having to get it fixed. When I got this car, I definitely knew that I wanted four-wheel drive, because previously I had a Kia Soul, and although I loved my Kia Soul and I felt like one of those gerbils in the commercial, it just didn't have four-wheel drive. And I bought it when I was living in California working at Disneyland, and I didn't think that I was gonna have to move back to where there was snow anytime soon. And if you don't know, Kia Souls have only front-wheel drive, which is absolutely terrible in the snow. So when I moved back here with that Kia Soul after COVID, I was slipping and sliding all over the place. Like, I'm so glad that I have this car now. I'm just grateful that it is fixable and it won't cost me a ton of money. I'm also really blessed that I have the car that I have now, because if you didn't know, I've had terrible luck with cars. This is my 6th car in the past like 10 years since I've gotten my license. I just don't have the best luck with them at all. I either like get in an accident because I'm blonde, or it like dies out on me. So I'm just grateful that I can actually fix this car and be able to drive it at least for a little bit longer. Also, I love the smell in here. It literally just brings me back to my childhood because this is the library that I grew up going to as a child. The kids section is up on the second floor, but I guess now I've graduated to the first floor to the young adult and adult section. I'm so excited. I got a library card. I feel like Arthur from that one episode where he gets a library card. Not only does visiting your library help support your local town, but it also saves your wallet. I have noticed recently that I buy a lot of books that I don't necessarily like afterwards, and I end up just donating them because I don't know if I mentioned this before, I think I have, but I don't like to keep books that are a 3.5 or below. I usually like to keep books that are a 4-star and above. So I end up just donating books that are mid or below average for me. So this saves me the time, effort, and money into buying a book and then not ending up liking it afterwards. At least I can just borrow the book from my local library and then not worry about wasting the money on it. I can just return the book, if that makes sense. I, of course, will buy the book if I absolutely love it and I want it on my shelf. But it saves me that money, like I said before, and time and effort of like actually having to physically go out and get the book and then end up not liking it. So if I end up borrowing a book and loving it, then of course I'm gonna go buy it because I want to have all of the books that I love on my shelves, but like at least this is a somewhat of a life-saving technique for me in the book world. Not really life-saving, but life-saving in book terms. So I ended up getting Normal People by Sally Rooney. I heard this is a literary fiction, and this is one of Sally Rooney's most popular books. So I decided to give it a try. I didn't have a specific book in mind going in there. I kind of was just looking around to see if there was a book in there that would seem like a good transitional book from summer to fall. So this is what I ended up picking. I don't know if I really like literary fiction. I have read books that are more character driven instead of plot driven. So I'm interested to see if I am going to like something that is actually classified as literary fiction. So we'll see if I like it. It is, I believe, just under 300 pages. It is 273 pages, which is like perfect for me because I feel like I can get through this pretty fast. I have to return it by September 9th, which I'm sure I'll be able to read it by then. So I definitely want to read this before September 1st, so September 9th definitely gives me some room to read it. But yeah, I'm excited to read this and see if I like it. So I'm just walking home now. I had some lunch at this place called Little Sister, and what used to be there was this place called Top Dog, which sold specialty hot dogs, as you could probably tell by the name. But that closed and this new restaurant opened up, and I wanted to try it out. They sell similar things to the last restaurant. So they sell hamburgers, hot dogs, fish and chips, things like that. And it was pretty good, but it was really expensive. It was like $25 for a salsa water, fries, and the burger. I don't know if I would be going back there again just because of the price, but it was pretty good. But I'm gonna head home now and enjoy the rest of the day just relaxing and probably reading. I'm gonna end the vlog here, but I'm just really grateful and appreciative for my life. And that's the reason why I started this vlog channel, because I wanted to appreciate the magic in every day and in the everyday moments and be able to not be so depressed and anxious all the time and feel like I'm missing out on life or that I'm behind in life. And this also forces me to get out of the house. If I didn't have this vlog, I probably would have just stayed inside all day and not done anything. But this forced me to get outside, get some fresh air and somewhat sunshine. It's not full-on sun today, it's overcast still. But it got me to at least get outside, which made me feel a little bit better. This weather makes me so depressed. I do get seasonal depression. This is the end of the vlog. Please comment, like, and subscribe, all the YouTube things that you know how to do. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!